Welcome to The Shift, where we stop existing and start thriving.
Welcome to the jail. Welcome to the jail. Welcome to the jail.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to The Shift. I love that intro. That just gets me every time. Glad to have you all again. We're excited to be here, but let's start out with a word of prayer. Father in heaven, we're so grateful for just still being alive, the way you've kept us and protected us all the way to this point. You've given us strength. And so tonight we're excited, Lord, for what you want to speak to us on this very important topic. Let it be relevant and life-changing for someone listening here. That's my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Omri, Loren, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Aisha? How you doing, Omri?
We good. We making it halfway through the week.
Yeah.
Almost the weekend.
Listen,
We good.
we're at the end of it went from September 30th to October 1st to October 22nd.
Great.
No, it went from January to October 22nd.
Okay, thank you.
I feel like the year went by like this.
I don't know if that's a bad thing. I think I'm actually kind of liking that.
I'm gonna need time to slow down. I'm the opposite. I'm like, it's moving too fast. It's a weird loop right now.
It is kind of weird. I will say this. Since 2020, I feel like it's been 1 year.
Y'all just busted my bubble, but that's okay. And now some of you may notice that Omri and Loren look a tad bit different from the people that were in the intro, which is all good because we're excited. They've been with us because I think the last time we were on The Shift in September, we were right before some really important things that were about to happen. So we were about to welcome 2 new miniature shift participants. Is that a good way of putting it?
I love that.
Thank you. I thought it was good. With Pastor Jordan, who you saw in the intro, he and Chelsea gave birth to a beautiful little girl named Shiloh, which I love that name. Yes. And so they're doing well. Thank God everything went wonderful and she's here and she's beautiful and all of that. And then like right near that same time, Amber and her husband Jayez gave birth to a beautiful little girl also named Ansley. And so they're doing well. So we have new shift miniature host.
Baby shifters.
Baby shifters. Come on. And so we're so excited that God blessed them to deliver safely. And so we're still praying for you all, love you all. And Lorraine and Omri, we're glad to have y'all because y'all are just fun and we enjoy having you.
Well, we love you too, Daisha.
That was the perfect response. Omri didn't say anything.
Hey, look, I'm happy to be here. I'm loving hanging out with y'all. It's been fun.
It's been fun. It's been fun. Now, this month, typically, we oftentimes talk about breast cancer awareness, which is very important and something that we need to be aware of. And we're grateful that that's highlighted. But this month, we kind of chose to do something a little bit different. October, many people don't realize, is also National Bullying Prevention Month, which I didn't really know that until I heard you all point that out. I said, wow, I didn't even know that was the thing.
I didn't know either. I mean, shout out Loren because
Yeah. Loren, what made you kind of hone in on that? Like, this is something we need to.
We've talked about it. I work at a school and I've worked at a school for the last like 15, 16 years. And we have a tendency to talk about it. It hasn't even been a thing for the last 15 years from what I know. But when it started to come about, we saw it more in one of the schools I was working with. So I remember it being in October. So when we started talking about it, I was like, what about that? You know, that's a really big topic for not just children, but for adults. So I think I had a little help with my school reminding me about it.
Yeah. So get us into it, Loren.
Well, I'm excited to talk about it because awareness is so important.
Yeah.
So to our shift audience, I want to know how much you guys know about bullying. So I got some questions for you. Okay. Are you ready, guys?
Ready.
The first multiple choice question I have is, I think it's going to pop up on the screen. Yes. What is the most common form of bullying among students today? The most common form of bullying. So we got a couple options. Option A is physical aggression. That's that beating folks up, hitting, punching, that kind of stuff. Then there's B, verbal bullying, name calling, insults.
Mm.
C, social exclusion, like leaving folks out. And then there's D, cyberbullying, which is a new, more popular one, texting and social media and things like that. A, B, C, or D?
So
what are you guys thinking?
Can I just jump in here while they're putting in their answers? I think that answer has changed from the time when I was growing up.
Mhm.
Like, I think, I don't know why. Well, I do have some ideas why, but I think growing up, it was always physical for the most part.
Mhm.
Someone, you do other. Nowadays, this bullying has gotten fancy.
It certainly has. They've gotten more creative, I feel like, with the way they're going about it. And some of our folks are saying B, D, D. We're looking at the verbal. We're looking at the cyber, because we're hearing so much more about it.
Yeah.
And there are certain areas that aren't as regulated as other areas. And I remember back in the day, our stuff was your mama jokes.
Right. And, oh man,
and it was all fun and games. You might
okay.
get a fight here and there, but it was
Right.
still all fun and games.
Right.
But now kids are brutal.
But the sad thing is, and maybe this is bad, but I was so good at your mama jokes.
Really?
I was so good. And that the Lord has worked with me since that point. But I could come at with all kind of stuff. And
I wouldn't be coming for you, Nisha.
I
wasn't good at it.
The Lord knows. But good. I'm sorry. What is it, Lorraine?
So actually, the answer is B, verbal bullying. And when I looked it up, the research shows that that's some of that is still cyberbullying too, because it takes account for. It doesn't take account for like text messages. It doesn't take account for certain other things. And then certain schools depend on where you're going to school. Where is it more common? So this is nationwide. But when I looked at some of the statistics in urban areas as opposed to more suburban areas, it's a little bit different.
And what happened to that whole sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me idea that many of us grew up with? Which we know is not
we
true.
told ourselves that's all. We wouldn't let our feelings get hurt, because I'm gonna tell you, words hurt.
Yes, they do. yes, they really do. So people got it. No, actually, did anyone get it? Maybe one or two people.
I see somebody A got it. They got B. It's interesting. Their name is A on there, and their answer was B.
So, yeah. Kenny said that's a lie.
That's a lie. Yes, Kenny. I would have to say in our communities, we're seeing a lot more cyberbullying.
Yeah.
So like I said, it depends on your demographic and where you live and things like that. So keep that in mind. All right. So our next question, also multiple choice. This one I thought was kind of interesting. Which group experiences the highest rate of bullying? And or online harassment? They put both cyber and regular bullying in there. And their choices are A, boys, B, girls, and C, our LGBTQ plus community, our young folks in that community. So is it A, guys, boys, girls, B, or C, our LGBTQ plus community?
And that's the one. Which one receives the most?
Which one receives the most bullying?
The highest rate of bullying.
The highest rate of bullying. Yeah, the highest rate of bullying. And it's interesting, Nisha, because I'm pretty sure that has changed. It might have changed possibly from our time frame too. There's so many things that have changed.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Right.
Omri, what would you guess, Omri? Because do you already know the answers to these? I don't remember.
No, I don't. Well, my mind's going to like B, girls. I'm just thinking like maybe that's like Mean Girls. That movies back in the day. I think kind of amplified.
They did a remake of.
Yeah.
So I'm also wondering like what's like who reports it? Because one group might experience it a lot and maybe they don't report it.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
I didn't even think of that. So they might experience it, but they just don't tell anybody that they're experiencing.
Yeah.
I see a lot of different ones, Lauren, in the chat. Most are saying, see,
most are saying C, but I do see a lot of different choices. C, all of the above. Joyce says, but in today's society, C.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Joyce. All of the above.
Yeah. So what is it? What is the answer?
Answer is actually C. So our shift folks are with it.
Yeah.
It is C. But Armor, you're right. B is next. Girls ages 13 to 17. And we're seeing a lot more in those two communities, LGBTQ and with our girls, we're seeing a lot of physical violence towards themselves when it comes to that bullying. So they're reporting it more. I'm pretty sure our young men are seeing it a lot as well, but our girls in our LGBTQ community are reporting it more, and there's more permanent and negative consequences, if y'all know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In those communities, we see a lot of terrible things happening to young people in those particular communities, girls and LGBTQ. So that's something to just be really aware of, and for our young men to pay attention to that too, but I feel like young men kind of jones on each other still, like back in the day too. And boys, I have to say, I admire men and boys, because y'all can fight, y'all can come at each other, and then y'all are cool again. Let's go
and still be friends afterwards.
Yes. Girls will be like, "Oh, I will never talk to her again. I'm burning down her locker." Like, so it's like it's a different kind of thing. So I respect you. I respect you guys.
Yeah, we got time for one more, Loren. What?
All right, this is just a quick one. True or false? True or false? Most bullying occurs outside of school. True or false? Most bullying occurs outside of school. What do y'all think?
So does that count with the cyber bullying?
Yes, that's cyberbullying, that's physical violence, and that's verbal violence as well. So that's for all of it.
I'm gonna go true for that one.
Oh, Kenny says true. Adrian says false. School is brutal.
But you know what they're doing nowadays? I think many of them are setting it up in school to happen somewhere else. Like, we're gonna meet up after school, and everyone's gonna fight here, or there's gonna be a fight here. And like, they plan this stuff.
They do, like, that they don't get suspended and stuff like that. But at our school, if we get wind of it, they take videos now and put it on social media. It's like, you're gonna get suspended. Like, we've got proof.
Right, we got proof. Like, you put it online.
Exactly. So usually that's how they get caught. So outside or inside, you get suspended. Okay. So all right, I see a lot of truths and falses. The answer actually is false.
Oh.
It's false. Despite the fact that there's more cyberbullying, and like Nisha said, we catching each other outside. In the classroom, it still remains the most common physical location for bullying, with 47% of victims claiming and reporting that it happened in school.
Wow. There's so much about this, Loren, that I know we don't have time to get into, but the stats you just said are crazy. And I wonder what age group that is the most for. You know,
I know for girls it's 13 to 17.
Wow. Okay.
I know that for a fact for the girls.
That teenage time.
Yeah, that teenage time. It's still rowdy.
We're going to get into it tonight. We're going to get into it tonight because it's a serious topic that we need to discuss. And who else can discuss it but the church? Like, the church should be one of the ones that are helping and preventing this. So, Loren, we'll say goodbye to you. Omri and I will hang on for this particular discussion. This is a real one, Omri, tonight. This is a real one. And for those who are watching tonight, I wonder, have you ever been bullied before? Like, ever? I remember growing up, I was bullied in middle school. And the crazy thing is, I remember his name. I remember his face.
Yeah.
And I can even remember, I remember even some of the things he said. And that was like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So bullying, it stays in your mind. And some of you, maybe when you were a child, you weren't bullied. Maybe you were the bully as a child. No judgment here. But in either case, tonight, in honor of National Bullying Prevention Month, we wanted to talk about this topic and just look at ways we can help prevent it. Now, we are very aware that bullying is also on the adult level as well. Like, we know that bullying is not just a childhood thing. We can see that from our political leaders, that bullies do exist. But tonight, we're just dealing with our young people. We're dealing with the ones between ages kindergarten through maybe 12th grade, as well as parents and guardians, because this is not an isolated thing from you. We're all working together to prevent this. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We brought on some folks, professionals, who they see bullying firsthand almost every day. They live this because they're educators. They're counselors. They see the hurt and the frustration in our kids on a daily basis. So that's why we wanted to bring them on tonight, just to help us talk about this topic. So we'll bring them all out tonight and introduce them, and let you all see these wonderful people who took time at the end of their day, after not dealing with children, after loving our children all day. They have still come and to be with us tonight because this topic means something to them, and they see it and they want to help with it. So that's why we brought them on. So let me introduce each one kind of individually. I think I'll start with Kennesaw State shirt woman, Christal Cook. Christal, she is a special education teacher at Carver High School in Atlanta. She's been teaching for like almost 17 years, has a bachelor's degree you have in psychology, master's in special ed, education specialist degree in instructional technology. So Christal has been in this thing. And I think I've known Christal since she was a young woman, years and years ago, however long that is. But we're excited to have her here tonight. Christal, I know you teach at Carver. Is that a regular high school, or is that specially focused high school, or what kind of high school is Carver?
Well, we are a school that's in partnership with APS, and it's just a regular neighborhood high school. So
okay. I don't know why I thought they were STEM or something.
Yeah, and not now, currently. We do have a STEAM focus, but it's not like a magnet school. So it's where whoever's zone to go, that's who goes.
Got you. And God bless you for doing high school. Bless you.
I prefer high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll come back to that. Let me introduce everybody else, because that's a harsh statement right there. Next we have Michael Turner. Michael is the clinical director for the Nest Coaching and Counseling Wellness Center. He's also the director of counseling and student accommodations at Morris Brown College. He is a licensed professional counselor and National Fellow Board Certified Therapist in several areas. Now, Michael, I know counseling is a lot when people put things on you. What even made you want to be a counselor, knowing that people constantly be putting things on you?
That is a great question, and it's going to sound kind of cliche, but God. I did not apply for anything counseling, and when I get paid, I'm reminded of that because I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted the money.
Wow.
So my first degree is political science, pre-law, and I got a phone call saying I was accepted into a counseling program at Alabama A&M University that I never applied to.
Really?
Wow.
And your classes have been picked for you already. Just pick up your ID.
Wow.
Okay, if that is not okay, and you went with it.
I did. That's how God talks to me, with a strong arm.
Wow. He already planned your classes out. There's a whole word in that, but we're gonna keep on going.
Right.
That's a word. But thank you, Michael, for coming, joining us tonight. This last lady, this guest, I've known her for a few years. She's known me probably since birth, because it is my sister, Andrea. Sometimes you all might see Denise up front doing music stuff, but Andrea sings powerfully. But even more than that, Andrea is like a veteran teacher and administrator for over 28 years. How anyone could love our children for that many years is the grace of God. So she has several graduate degrees, educational leadership, principal's license, national educational trainer, all that. But this year, I don't know if you all saw, she was a finalist in this nationwide competition for America's favorite teacher. Y'all, she got thousands of votes. Come on, Ann. So Andrea's been in this. Andrea knows this. And one thing I can say about Andrea, she has the gift for doing this. She has a gift for working with our students, and the students that you normally wouldn't want to work with. Like, Ann, who do you enjoy? What kind of students do you enjoy working with the most?
It's funny because my family always says, "Are there any shootouts at this school? Are there any gangs at this school?" I love those schools. At risk, low income. I worked at all different types of schools, like you said, but I prefer those.
Andrea is to me the Joe Clark. If you ever watch Lean on Me, take the chains off the door. She loves going into those schools and just doing miraculous things by the grace of God. So we have some professionals on tonight. These are not just everyday folk. These are folk who do this, who see this all the time. So let's just kind of get started with first talking about how would you define bullying? Like when you hear that word bully, how would you define it? Because a lot of times aren't kids just being kids? Kids have conflicts, kids don't get along, they fight. When does that turn into bullying? How would you define it? And whoever wants to start, or I might call somebody out just because I can. And go ahead. How would you define bullying? What it is?
I would say that bullying is the repeated and intentional aggressive behavior where there is a perceived or actual power imbalance. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You just went straight clinical. Okay. Imbalance between someone who is what? Someone who is more powerful.
Power imbalance. It could be a teacher student, a boss, an employee, a parent child.
Wow.
Okay. When I say perceived, because perception is reality. So a perceived or actual power imbalance.
That's the facts. Christal, Mike, what do you all, when you hear bullying?
I agree with her. And it's when you talk about the power imbalance, it's not always physical. Sometimes it's social power. You're someone who's more popular, you have more friends, you're more accepted. You have a reputation of don't mess with them. Whatever your social currency is, it allows you to be in a position of power over other people. And it really is about you having power, or I guess exercising that power and trying to be more powerful or be in control of someone else.
Just for the sake of being in control, or you just have a desire for control?
Well, there are lots of things that make someone a bully. But, a lot of times you don't have as much. And I think we've seen this on a job where someone who doesn't have much power at home, but when they come to work, they are really bully people or very controlling because they lack control in one area. So they're looking for it somewhere else. Or with kids, if your parents are aggressive, if your parents are neglectful, then that's going to create that same type of behavior in you.
Right.
Yeah. Michael, how would you define bullying to you?
And normally I don't mind going last, but they took all the good answers.
We're all on the same page. That's what it is.
Indeed. The only thing, just on the energy component, where there is an assertive or an aggressive energy over a passive energy. Because sometimes bullying isn't necessarily in your face aggression that we're used to. It can be someone or something that is so used to things that is assertive of this is what I want. And in a passive place within a person, that assertiveness and that volume of how it presents itself to that person who is more passive oftentimes does align with bullying as well.
Okay.
That's good.
So,
can I ask,
go ahead.
Well, I want to ask just a follow-up to something said, this power imbalance that's coming up, and also the perception of it. Have you guys in your roles helped students try to change how they perceive that power imbalance? Like, is that something that helps in, changing the dynamic? If they think, oh no, I'm equal, there is no power imbalance. Like how does that perception and changing the perception of the power imbalance come into play here?
I think we like to tell kids, like I say sometimes, you're not a dog, that they pull your chain, you don't have to bark. You don't have to respond. You don't have to, we can't tell kids to ignore. But I think that's a very simplistic approach to something that socially is not that simple. I feel like I can ignore, but especially I would think as a young man, if I ignore it, then that's making me, I'm appearing passive and I'm a punk, and it almost escalates some of the bullying because they're looking for a rise, they're looking for a reaction. They want you to cry, they want you to get mad. So I just think that it's hard to say you are just as good as them, you are just as great. If they're not as popular, then is really not true. You know, if you don't have the popularity, you don't have the friends and the support, then there is an imbalance there. And if what they are bullying is part of just who you are as like we talk about the LGBTQ kids, that's how they present to the world. That's their identity. And then someone is attacking that. Then how do you get any kind of power balance with that?
Yeah.
I think oftentimes bullies don't understand their power. I had a student, I forgot what grade, middle school. He terrorized the entire middle school. Had a nice dark skin tone, and because he was bullied, I say hurt people hurt people. He had been hurt. He had been bullied about his skin. So when I pulled him to the side and I got to the bottom of the why are you terrorizing everybody? And I saw the insecurities that he had, and I told him that you are powerful. You can flip this and actually be a positive leader, which he did. After he understood the why and understood his true power, it was remarkable that he actually became a positive leader. He started helping people. It was unreal, but he didn't understand his power. To answer your question, he didn't understand.
So what do you all normally see in your areas? What's the most prevalent kind of bullying? Like you heard us talk about in the icebreaker, the different kinds of bullying, cyberbullying, verbal, physical. What do you see the most where you are? And you're each in 3 different areas. So Michael, let's go with you first, since you're in that counseling arena. What kind of bullying do you tend to hear about or see about the most with people you deal with? Students.
Indeed. So bullying on a collegiate level now has different names, but we're familiar with it. We've heard of hazing, right? When wanting to join a Greek organization, we've heard of that, or even basketball teams. Quid pro quo. We hear about these things, but think about that. Someone with power holding something over someone who is in a lower state or more passive state who wants something and trying to get something out of it, quid pro quo. Title IX, it even shows up in gender and interactions sometimes with Title IX. So what was interesting that I agree with, and I could kind of develop a quick little pathology of like, you're being called a name to your face. It starts there. I just take it to social media after school. I've called you the name in the classroom. We're going to talk about it on my TikTok. I'm going to go live about it. Everyone's going to start commenting. Maybe you don't have geometry class with me, but you know what? You follow me on Instagram, all of this Snapchat, and then we get back to the school the next day, or don't let it be a good weekend. Like if I called you that great name over the weekend, by the time we get back to class on Monday, everybody else has timed in. They've had their own. You have an emoji named after you. They don't even have to say it. There's an emoji that describes whatever that thing is. That's a whole language. Let me know when you want to do a shift on the language of emojis.
On emoji language.
I had to learn
scary language.
That is literally a whole new thing. So it kind of just starts with that, but it takes on its own life and its own vernacular, its own life, its own culture. But that's why I just wanted to hit on the different soundings of like, yes, we know bullying from what the traditional words, but then you also have all these other synonyms that go along right with it as well. So that's how I see it.
Can I follow up with that, with what you were saying about the whole name calling and it blows up over the weekend? As a counselor, then what do you do? Like, what do you address? The initial event or the blow up?
All of it. And then just with this day and age, I've just learned I'm not even a mic. I'm your safe place. I don't know if the bullying started with you and you just ran into a better bully. So even with that, we kind of like, so what happened? What's really going on? And it's not from a probing point to attack to find the trigger. It really is just to get an event synopsis of, okay, so this has happened. Who's all affected? And then just again with bullying and where it leads to now with people wanting to unalive themselves. I always do that check just to make sure we don't have any ideations, or the new thing of I'll just, bring a weapon to school so that the police can unalive me.
Wow.
So it starts right here, but in my world, we have to go the
See all
distance.
the angles. Have
Yeah.
mercy.
You get me thinking about, just how do you identify that then? I mean, sometimes it's in your face where somebody maybe comes to you or you actually observe the bullying happening. But then there's many situations where you just got to be very observant of the small things that a child or college student is going through. What are some ways that you guys are trying to identify on that early? Yeah.
And that's a good question, Omri, for those who are watching too. And those who are watching, put your questions in the chat too, so we can ask them at the end. Because some of you have kids and you're like, how can I tell if my kid is being bullied? What would you say, Aunt or Christal?
That's what you just said. How it's manifested is very important to watch. I remember I have two children. My daughter Nia, she's the sweetest person ever. But in first grade, she was being bullied. She had pretty hair. She still does. But she would come home and say she was being made fun of. And my husband and I would say, okay, make sure, give her the parent answer. But when she came home one day and chopped her hair off, first grade, we had to take note, and we said we couldn't be mad at her because we said, what was the problem? Why did you cut your hair? She said, because these girls were laughing at my hair. So I figured if I cut my hair, there would be nothing else to laugh at. Of course, we went to the school. It was the whole thing. However, what you said, we should have been more attentive to the action, because what was manifested was the action of cutting off her hair. So after that first grade, my husband and I was extremely attentive to what they were saying, what she was doing. And I think that helped as she matriculated because we were tuned in now.
So did you deal with the people that were doing it back then, or now as she was growing up, you dealt with them? Like, did you go to the school and be like, hey, these kids are bullying Nia?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As the hands-on parent that I am, I actually went and sat in the class, and
I know you sat in that
point
class.
out the children. Yes. Point out the children. Of course, if they're children, I'm not going to come to them. But I did talk to the teacher and their parents, and we had a nice little conference. But it was resolved.
I
But
know it was.
it also made me realize that my husband and I had to be hands-on parents. So moving forward from K to 12, they're even college now at Oakwood, we're still hands-on parents because, like you said down there, college, it happens. It happens as well. So
Yeah. And so Mike, you did college and you were talking middle school, elementary. Christal, you're right in the middle of that high school. That high school, ooh, what kind of bullying have you seen the most? And then, like, how can you tell if someone is being bullying that you've seen?
I think that you can see a shift in behavior or mood. Sometimes you can see aggression from a student that is normally very together, very kind and sweet. I know some guys start talking about trying to talk like a thug or just try to be hard because they're tired of being pushed around. So they're trying to take on this persona that they feel they could be safer with. You'll see that happening. Kids who usually are on top of their studies, those things just go onto the wayside, them not focus on their work, them not doing work, being disrespectful. So some acting out sometimes, or some depends on if they're acting out or shutting down. Those things happen. And I just think that bullying used to be an incident or a series of incidents, where now I know some kids have taken pictures of other kids and created memes, and they're forever. You know what I'm saying? They're never going, we can say something embarrassing happened when we were back in high school, and it's only about word of mouth that somebody knows, but now it just lives on forever, and people don't let it go. They keep it, it becomes a whole where you're almost like you're a laughing stock, as opposed to just this one person is messing with me. Everybody kind of, to be on the right side of the controversy, they pile on too. So
Which is
it's
unbelievable. I mean, it bothers me when I hear about bullying, when we talk about bullying, because like I said in the intro, I was bullied as a kid, and I remember this kid's name. And you remember Andrew? I'm sorry, I just had because you were there. You remember because I remember the reason I laughed because I was in middle school. I think my sister was in high school, and this kid Andrew. And if you're watching Andrew, God bless you. But this kid Andrew used to mess with me and just like call me Bubbles back in the day. Now I am almost 50 years old, and I remember that from middle school before the memes and all that. Until one day, Andrea came and she had a conversation with Andrew, and I never heard from him again. So he never messed with me again. But that stayed with me. Like, so these kids nowadays, imagine how it affects them. So each of you, give us one example of a bullying incident that you have seen, and then how you dealt with it. And you're coming from different areas. You're coming from elementary, middle school, high school, college. Give us one example of just maybe an incident that you were aware of, and maybe if you did something about it, or if you didn't. Whoever wants to go first. What are some? Give us one example.
I haven't had a bully necessarily, but I remember this young lady in high school. I'm going to call her Savannah. She was mean. She always had an entourage following her. And at church, they asked us to invite a youth, and I didn't know her. She didn't know me, but I just always thought she was so mean and aggressive. So I invited her to church. She went in the car with my sister and I, my mom and dad, and we were singing in the car. It was a whole Disney Channel scene. So she was quiet the whole time. And when we got back to school, I said, "All right, Savannah, let me hear it because I know you got jokes." She told me, "That's the best time I've had. Your father is actually there. My father's in jail. Your mom is so sweet. My mom's she called her something else. You have a relationship with your sister. I don't want to know mine. I fight because I deal with a lot of abuse at home. And in high school, I can't read. High school, I don't know my ABCs." So I said, okay, okay, okay. So as a high schooler myself, I said, all right, let's do this. First of all, I'm going to tutor you. So I actually remediated while accelerated in high school to help her. And I told her, I said, while you with me, stop all of that meanness. She was one of the sweetest people ever. But because again, she was hurt, she made sure the entire high school knew about it. But she was actually very sweet. So that was an instance, I guess, where I dealt with a bully and sort of God helped to flip that.
And so now that you have middle schoolers, have you seen any of them act out? Because I know you have some interesting students.
Well,
that are
like
wonderful.
you said, I'm a Joe Clark. I love it. You have to create as a teacher, obviously, the climate and the culture of the classroom has to be such that no one feels isolated, no one feels picked on. So children actually fight to come in my room because they know Miss Woodbine don't play that. But that's good. And I think I heard someone say safe, creating that safe zone. We don't laugh at people. There's no one stupid. You have a right to your opinion. And children have come to me, so many children have come to me whispering, I was bullied. I said, give me the name, please. And I will shut it down. And I do. Years later, children, 28 years later, I've taught some kids, they said, thank you for shutting that down because I was legit afraid. I was, et cetera, et cetera. So
I like how you said created a culture of we're not doing that here.
Yeah.
We're not. If we could only have that culture created in our country, we're not doing that here. We're not saying that here. But it starts from the top down. But that's another shift. Michael, Christal, what's one incident where you saw it in your classroom or in your sphere and you maybe did something?
I think what I see, well, I did have an instance where there was a student who didn't want to come to school because he was being picked on. It was a little different in the sense that he had the power and ability to defend himself quite well. But he didn't want to get in trouble. He didn't want to react that way and fight. So he was trying to avoid fighting because they kept pushing, kept harassing. And so he was dealing with, didn't want to get in trouble, didn't want to fight. So, and as a kid, his answer was to not come to school. So once we start talking and trying to figure out, okay, who is this? You have to investigate to see what if they'll tell you who is this that's bothering you, what's really going on, and try to. I know at our school we do mediation. We have stay away from agreements, different things like that to try to prevent the conflict from continuing. Because sometimes they can't be around each other. They just have to say, hey, just you can't. You have a restraining order for school, basically. Well, you can't be around this person. But it's so, I feel like it's very pervasive at my school, not just verbal insults, just physical aggression, because I have students that the environment they're in at home, their histories of trauma, that sort of thing, where they are in survival mode pretty much most of the time. And you'll see when someone is in that mode, it's almost like we all have to be strong. We all have to show you can't mess with us. We all on edge. We're all anxious. Like I had a student today, most of the kids were sitting on one side. The teacher asked, can y'all sit on this side of the room so y'all see the board better? I don't want to sit over there with all them kids. There's too many people over there. So they're even so much as their physical surroundings and how, the control they have around their space and creating a sense of safety for themselves, because it can be so combative and someone looking at you wrong. What you looking at me like that for? It's just the smallest things. It's like they're on edge.
On edge.
Because that's the way, and you have to save face, and you can't be a punk, and your parents tell you can't be a punk, and your parents tell you to fight. And
they say don't come home and let someone do that to you.
Somebody do that to you. So that's why it's so hard, as an educator, when admin tries to intervene and stop some of this stuff. It's just a way of life to some extent for them. They haven't learned, or we're trying to teach them a different way.
Yeah. And it's traumatizing because it stays with you. Like I see in the comments, some people, like Erin, said that she remembers all the mean stuff people said to her growing up. You remember this stuff. It stays with you. I see Kenny. It's interesting, Kenny. I like how you said you've been bullied, but most of the bullies are now friends, or at least on good terms.
Wow.
I had a different question, but can we stay with what Kenny just said?
Yeah.
I mean, what that happened?
What it's making me think about is when Aunt was talking about her situation growing up, where a bully came to her, and it seemed like they were more comfortable talking to a counterpart about it.
Oh, Andrea. Oh, you said. I thought you said Amber. I was thinking our.
Oh no. Yeah.
Andrea.
I'm talking about a friend was comfortable talking to her about it, and then she kind of opened up. So it really emphasizes the importance of, telling our kids that they can be that person for other students as well. And like Kenny's point, I mean, now they're able to be friends and, develop past that relationship. How are you guys maybe helping them with that? Maybe encouraging some of your students to be that friend to a bully, right? Or to help them process.
Well, I struggle with that, and I watch my sister Denise.
You just called Denise out. Denise, you're not watching, are you?
And it's a gift to be friends with bullies. I don't have that particular perspective. I do teach strategies, coping strategies, conflict resolution, things of that nature. I don't necessarily stress being friends with them. However, if you can make that work, go for it. But it's I haven't had that particular experience of being friends with someone cordial, professional, but
But friends is harder.
Yeah, get along. We can be, cordial, but I don't necessarily, because I think, like Christal said, I have a different clientele. And on the streets, we're not going to be cordial afterwards. You stay over there, I stay over here. So we're not going to be buddy after that. So it depends on who you're dealing with.
Boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Michael, you have kind of a different take because you're not in the classroom necessarily, but you're dealing with these kids who are in classrooms. What are you seeing?
So to your initial question, I was trying to find something to ethically talk about without highlighting someone, for lack of better phrasing.
Sure.
Because like my scenarios would be like pinpointed.
Right.
What I can say though, kind of with this question and how it can show up later in life in men, when you all were talking about like bullying male, female, LGBTQIA plus, what I have found out with bullying: fight, flight, freeze, anxiety, right? Black people, you're too close. You're right here. Well, what's going to happen when I'm right here? I'm going to push you away. I might, hit you away, but there's going to be in a way that's going to happen. I may use my words culturally, not just black people, but culturally. So that's where we have, kind of like the fight or the freeze of, I don't know how to handle it. What I have found happening with men, performance, that bully stopped the performance. So it shows up quite often when they're married.
Say that one more time, Michael. I'm sorry.
Indeed.
Tie that.
Again, so with bullying, with men, quite often when I'm working with men who may be coming for issues in his marriage, some of those things from early on, his performance, that theme of performance, as whether it be a student, whether it be an athlete, quite often when we get to the source of issues in marriage for a lot of men who may be dealing with certain issues, well, we're shifting. So I'll just go ahead and say, sexually.
Sure.
A lot of times when gentlemen are coming into therapy for erectile dysfunction and things of that nature, when we get to the heart of where it started, it is literally a cognitive track of being bullied and stopping a performance from, whether it be performing academically, performing sports, then now it shows up when they need to perform elsewhere.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a whole nother topic, Michael.
It really is. If I felt like going back to school and, being a doctor, I would do that, but I don't have time for that. With prior dissertation and research, but I've just been, I didn't go looking for it. It has definitely been something that has just been ongoing, and that it defies culture, race, ethnicity, and religion. That factor of gentlemen who have been bullied, how it can show up later in their marriages, performance-wise.
And that is so interesting that something that happened when you were younger, so influence your life now. And we're thinking, oh, it was just a bullying, but you don't realize how much it's going to influence later for many people. That's deep. Okay. So listen, we gotta move. I'm sorry. Let's help some parents and guardians. How can we help parents as educators, as counselors? What do you want parents to know on how they can help their child who either is being bullied or is the bully?
Mercy.
What would you say to parents or guardians? And what would you say?
Stay connected. Stay connected to your child, please. Oftentimes when we get busy, we say, we pacify them with an answer. Stay connected with your child. Listen to what they're saying and what they're not saying. Like Christal said, watch actions. Look, if they're withdrawn all of a sudden and they're an extrovert, come on, question. If they don't want to go to school. Now, of course, children sometimes don't want to go to school, but I'm talking about if there's a serious, they're really fighting you on that. Go in the classroom. You should be one with the teacher every year. Teachers knew my name. They knew my husband because we're supporting you.
Would you want a parent to come in your classroom? Like, would you be okay if they said?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to use it. I invite the parents in. I say you need to know what your child is doing, and I think we talked about it earlier. Cyberbullying. One thing I would say, especially this generation, social media, know your children's passwords. Let me say that again.
Mercy.
Know your children's passwords. I don't know what we're talking about. We're always having class meetings, and I ask my students, how many of your parents know your passwords? They said, oh, absolutely not. And then when they confided in me and showed me what they were hiding, I'm talking about perpetrators trying to, and I was trying, I said, you need to show your parents what is going on behind the scenes. Come on now. So I love parents coming in and I talk to them and let them know, please know what's on your child's social media. Please know their passwords. Please know their friends. Please come in and support the teacher versus when there's a problem, you know, that's the only time you come in. You have to and connect with your children. Be friends with your children. Now, when you were younger, obviously you're disciplinary. But now my children 19 and 23, we're friends because the connection is there. That's what I would say.
That's good. That's good. Christal, what do you want parents, guardians, what do you wish they knew and how they could help?
I think most of us saw the movie The Help. You is kind, you is smart, you is important. And it's kind of funny, we laugh at that or whatever. But what she was doing with that child, wasn't even her child, was building up that her sense of herself, her self-esteem. I think one of the greatest things to teach your child is that you have immeasurable value. God made you in his image. He made you a specific way, your flaws and your strengths, so that you could fulfill a specific purpose he has for you on this earth. No one else, he doesn't want anybody else to do it. He wants you to do it. And so he's giving you what you need to do that. And as you grow, you'll find out what that is. So you have to you have to value yourself and understand the way you should be treated is not to be mistreated, so that you speak. And it's not about being arrogant or thinking that they're better than someone else, but just knowing their own intrinsic value. Christ died for you on the cross. He would have done it just for you. And if that's the case, then who is anyone else to think less of you or to talk down to you? We can't, as parents, we can't, we have to give them a voice to some extent. That I say to some extent because I know as Black parents it's kind of hard, but know that they can talk to you, have communication open. Don't have your child afraid to tell you things because they don't know how you're going to react. They don't know what you're going to do. They don't want you to go to school and embarrass them, but have it so that they are comfortable coming to you and telling you what's going on. When things get out of hand for them, they'll reach out to you. So that's a relationship you got to build, and you can't be a bully to them and expect the world not to do the same thing. Is what I'm trying to say. So the way you treat your child and the way you respect their feelings, the way you let them have some voice, I say, so that they can express how they're feeling, what's going on. Otherwise, you're going to be shut out and not know until it's too late or till something terrible happens. You want to keep that connection going, like Andrea was saying before. It's so important.
Well said, both of y'all. Michael, with you, how much would you recommend counseling for a child?
Well, I recommend counseling to everybody, even to counselors. Every good counselor has a good counselor. I recommend that to everyone. Even
at what point do you know your child needs that, though? Like, at what point would a parent, maybe their child is being bullied or is the bullier? At what point do you know, hey, maybe I should take my child to a counselor? Where's that? Is there a line there?
So it's twofold. The first part is just like with medical, you have your where do we go for yearly checkups or physicals, right? We do that for prevention. Why would you wait for something to have happened and now you want to go seek out the therapist? Why is prevention only medically done? Why? So that's literally, again, every good therapist, if we can start being proactive for prevention, then let's do that. I do want to chime in on your initial question to the parent and to the guardian. If you are the parent and you are the guardian, then be that. A lot of times now I want to be the best friend. No, you want to have open communication and you want to have a good rapport. That does not always equal to friendship. Be the parent, be the guardian, keep those boundaries in place, because now all of a sudden when you want to hear everything, there are some friends I say things to, and then there are some friends I don't say things to. A lot of parents now, you put yourself in the friend category, and now you're upset because they put you in the category of friends that they don't talk to about certain things, as opposed if you stayed parent and guardian all encompass, then we have that. We have that open communication. We have that great rapport. And just, whenever this is watched, I always say this wherever I go and talk about school and passwords and privacy. that is something that comes with a lease or a mortgage. And until your child has that lease or mortgage with their name, then there is no such thing as privacy. Because what the now we now
No,
live in
you're
a day
right.
and age where parents are now getting sued.
Yeah.
Parents are literally now being sued for things that their children are doing, and you were just like, well, privacy and code and things of that nature. And for those of you who have privacy or passwords, and you check your children's their apps and things of that nature, I always give this freebie. Search out what app it really is, because there are now apps that hide the apps that they really don't want you to see, like the hidden gallery. Take your time to put in calculator. Take your time to put in watch. Why am I saying that? Because it works just like a real calculator, but you just don't know the code to get the formula to open up the hidden gallery that's keeping the pictures or the app away from you. Same thing with watch. You don't know what time code that you need to put in to get to these things. So I always drop those nuggets of, as you're going through the phone looking for certain things, be creative, like literally put in hidden gallery, calculator, hidden gallery, watch, and just, see all the apps that start to fly up. And then just search the ones with the cloud, which means your child has it before. Because it may not have it with this phone, but everything goes over to the cloud, maybe with the other ones. Just little tidbits to take with you.
That's so serious. I didn't even know that there was a hidden anything.
Yeah.
That I didn't realize my child had 2 Instagram accounts till maybe a couple weeks ago. But anyway, that's a whole other topic.
Can I say something else? One more thing, in addition to what they've already said. I think it's important to give your child a sense of protection, self-protection. I'm not condoning fighting, but for example, I put my children in martial arts, my young girl and my boy. So what they taught them was fighting is the last resort. Let's talk first. Let's pray. Let's negotiate. However, being able to defend themselves after 10 years of martial arts, it gives them a sense of confidence.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, they choose not to fight because they know that they can handle themselves. So I think teaching them strategies, coping mechanism, I think you said prevention, how to handle yourself, that gives them the confidence of saying, no, I'm not going to do that because I can.
That's we got to end. This is good. But we're about to close out and bring Loren back out. Actually, you can bring Loren out now. And before we pray, give one thing you would say. I want you to talk, each of you, directly to someone who might be being bullied right now, or maybe the parent. What would you say? Whether it be spiritual, whether it be whatever it is, talk to either the child that's being bullied or maybe the parent who is experiencing their child being bullied. What would you leave with them tonight? Just anyone. Like I see people in the chat. Open communication is vital. Good. These are good things. Give me one thing, each of you. And Michael, I want to start with you, and then Christal, and then Andrea. One thing, one closing thoughts you would give to either someone being bullied or maybe a parent who they're looking at their child going through this and they're like, God, what do we do? What would you say to close out?
Perseverance to the person being bullied and to the parent. The perseverance to the person being bullied, you're strong enough to endure, which means you're strong enough to tell somebody that something's happening to you. Perseverance of the parents, annoy and bother, because at the funeral, it's too late. Your child is gone now.
Wow.
It's too late. Wow. So be annoying now when it counts. They'll be fine adults because they'll still be here. Perseverance would be the one I say.
Beautiful, beautiful. Christal, what final words would you give?
I think to any child and the parents, you're not alone. What you're going through, there's someone else who knows how you feel. There's even crisis hotlines, when you may not know an adult that you trust or something like that. There are places you can reach out to just talk through things. You're not by yourself. I think it's very isolating when you're being bullied. You feel like no one cares. But if your parents are in your lives and your parents are supportive, like you said, tell them if you have the perseverance to deal with the bullying, you're strong. You're stronger than you realize, and you're not alone.
Beautiful, beautiful. Andrea, what would you end with?
To the child, you are more powerful than you think. You are worth it. You do not deserve to be bullied. That's not why God put you here. Now, obviously, we're talking about a public school child. You're worth it. I like what Christal said. Show them their worth. To the parent, You are your child's number one advocate. They need you. There's no hands-off parenting. They need you every day, all day.
Wow. Ooh, good stuff tonight. Good stuff tonight. People in the chat are saying great conversation. I love the way Hillary said, create a safe space for the child so that he or she knows they can discuss anything with you. Good. This is good counsel tonight. Good counsel. Loren, would you mind just as we close out, just saying a prayer for those maybe who are victims of bullying right now, even praying for the ones that maybe are the bully, that God would do something in their heart as well. And then we'll close out. We'll leave you with a resource that you can help you right after we do prayer. But Loren, could you pray for us, please?
Sure. To kind of Heavenly Father, God, you know that this has been a needed conversation, God. You know, this is a hurtful world. Like, we're all hurting, God. And some of us hurt others. And I'm just asking you in a mighty way, God, to touch the young people right now who need you, God, the ones who are hurting and the ones who are hurting others, God. We're asking your mighty name for victory over bullying, God. That's something we can come to you because it matters to you. You love your children, God, and you don't want any one of us to hurt each other or to be hurt. So I'm asking that you bless the parents, the children, the adults, God, who are still hurting from things that were said to them as children, God. We're asking for this space for a healing, God.
Yeah.
We're asking for healing for all who need it right now, God. And we ask that this conversation that's being had, that those who need to hear what needs, for them to have healing, God, for them to grow, for them to, as parents, for them to have those conversations with their children, God. Start those conversations. We ask that this be the starting point that starts a fire, God, that will change lives, that will save lives, God. And most importantly, that will bring folk back to you. We ask you to bless the teachers here, God, and the teachers, administrators, those who have their hands on children daily, God. We ask that you give them wisdom on how to move forward to help these young people. We ask that you give them wisdom to see when these things are happening and know when to step in. Bless parents and give them wisdom as well, God, to know what to do and how to approach their children, how to be there for their children before it's too late, God. We know that this conversation was brought up so that some future lives can be saved, God. Somebody is going to be saved here today, God, where they're not going to have to unalive themselves, or they're not going to have to go through this pain and hurt, God, because this is going to be handled. So we thank you for this conversation. We thank you for the ripple effect that's going to come from it. In your mighty name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you all so much. Michael, would you mind giving us, are there any resources like numbers people can call if they need help or anything?
Absolutely. The most popular crisis line is now number 988. That's the national crisis line that you can call or text 988 if you're looking for a counselor. One word, psychologytoday.com. It's literally the Google of counselors in America. You can cipher out the type of counselor that you're looking for: Christian, male, Black, things of that nature. 741 also works as another text line, just because this is now an age where people just don't feel like talking, but they can text, and that will align you with a therapist anywhere in America. And again, this is all 24/7.
Beautiful. And then your own organization it's the Nest. That's your counseling
Correct.
team?
And thank you for that, because I forget to do that all the time. I'm so just like, here, this way when I need to go for help. But the Nest, there it is right there, 404-452-5803, or thenestwc.com. And even if you don't want to necessarily work with us, as I tell people all the time, as a therapist, I know better therapists than you do. So let me help you find one.
Listen, y'all, thank you. I mean, all three of you you could hear the wealth of experience and what God has shown you over all these years that you've been doing what you're doing. And I believe that God has placed each of you in the places that you are because some child's life will be changed because of you. I believe that we change environments as children of God because we bring the light of God to where we are. So thank you so much, Michael, Christal, Andrea, good to meet you tonight. Thank you all so much. We're going to say goodbye to you all, and we're going to hang on for 1 second. But thanks so much. Loren, Omri.
That was really, really deep. It really was.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the perspectives that came from it, especially as a parent, and how Andrea said what she did and how that young woman was experiencing so much. And a lot of times we forget that. And I've experienced bullying too. Like you said, Nisha, and there's some things that have stuck with me. Like I saw in the chat, Aaron and some other folks were sharing that stuck with them their whole life. I was picked on for being skinny for so long, to the point where it's like I had such a terrible self-image for a long time because of that. And the only thing that's helped me on the other side is to see there's something wrong with the person who is bullying me, not me.
Yeah.
And in all those instances, all through, like, you say college, grad school, adulthood, people don't stop bullying. They have, you know what I mean? To see it as, hey, there's something wrong with that person. It literally stopped me from being hurt. It stopped me from being angry. And it made me start praying for the bully.
Yeah.
There's clearly something wrong with them, whether they dislike themselves, whether they're being abused, whether they're being bullied. You think about it from a different perspective. And I really feel like that has changed my life and made me see it the way God wants me to see it, which is so hard, because when somebody's hurting you, the last thing you want to do is love on them or pray for them.
Right.
You want to hurt them back.
Right.
So to see it from that angle really let me see from the angle of love, and really helped me through a healing process.
Beautiful.
To help me, you know what I mean? And it's powerful, but it's hard when young people, it feels
hard
like
to see.
It's overclouding, it's overwhelming. It feels like every time you see that person, it's like, dang, here we go again. This is never ending almost.
Yeah.
So I can see why people can't see past that and do certain things, because they are so overwhelmed.
It's overwhelming. And maybe your kids aren't there yet. Like Omri, I know your little people are little
ones.
They're super small. But do you think about that for their future? Whether they like to honor that when
a lot. I mean, the thing that I think about a lot that, we don't have to deal with it now, but it scares me eventually, is just being able to have that open communication and making sure I'm creating an environment where my son, he's 8 now, so he's starting to get to that stage. And then my daughters, once they get older, feel comfortable letting me know. My fear is just knowing, as a parent, not knowing that things are going on and your children is suffering in silence is just so painful. Being someone that also dealt with bullying growing up and oftentimes suffered in silence, not feeling like they had someone to talk to, friends, whoever. So I just want to be able to make sure I'm doing the things now to create that environment. Like something, I think that came up a couple of times, and Andrea said it, and Christal, everybody said it. It reminds me, somebody told me, you're not a thermostat. You got to be, or you're not a thermometer. You got to be a thermostat. As a parent, you got to set the temperature so that if your kid comes to you, you're not reacting all crazy. Next thing you know, that door's shut. They're never coming to you again.
Right. Whether it's good or bad.
Right.
Whatever they're bringing to you.
Exactly. You can't react. You got to set that temperature. So that's something I think about a lot.
I'm glad we talked about this tonight. I'm glad we made, kind of highlighted this National Bullying Prevention Month. So thank you for bringing it to our attention. And I'm glad that God defeated the ultimate bully, which was the enemy, the devil. So he defeated him, and he'll defeat him in our lives as well. Thank our guests tonight. And once again, if you need to go back and rewind to see the resources that Michael presented at the end, those numbers, please do that, or share this with someone who might need that. This coming Saturday, we have Selah, where we meet together in our houses and all of that. So enjoy that. But next week is November. What in the world? But next Saturday is November 1st. And it's another big day at Revision. Next Saturday is a huge day at Revision. It's our pastor's anniversary. So we got special guests. We have amazing Dr. Marcus Cosby. I love hearing him preach. Amazing preacher, speaker. And musical guest, Zebulon Ellis. Well, I also love hearing him sing. You might have seen him on Sunday Best. And if you ever gone to the Black Nativity here in Atlanta, and just all kinds of places. So it's going to be a big day, y'all. It's going to be a big day. Be there. And then, of course, we'll be back next month for another episode of The Shift. We're going to be glad about it. We're going to talk about I'm not going to tell you. I'll let you come back.
Don't give it away.
And find out what we're going to talk about next month. It's been good, guys. See you next time. Share this with someone. Have a great one.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Welcome to The Shift, where we stop existing and start thriving.
Welcome